In order to process GPS static observation data in Spectra Survey Office or SPSO, so once all the installation and projection setting already done set up, we can begin to do the processing. Once we open Survey Office, first thing we go to New Project. So over here, they will show you the template that was already set before. So we select Borneo RSO projection template. We click OK. It will automatically apply all the Borneo RSO setting for us. So once inside, we can begin to import our data. So over here, we select Import. Then we can look for where we keep our static observation data. So we browse for the folder that we keep our data. So it will appear inside the list over here. So for example, this is from Spectra brand GPS. So it is in atom raw data file. Okay, so once we select the raw data, at the bottom here, the setting, we select for static, we set to yes. And then we can multiple select to import all the data together in one go. Then we click import. So once all the data has already been imported, it will show you the summary of the date and time when does your data being recorded with the original file name itself and the duration, how long it's been recorded. So in this case, we need to set the point ID, what station name this particular receiver is sitting on. So based on the information that we have here for each station, okay, for example, receiver serial number 20002 is sitting on base 4. So for example, over here we can see it shows a 0002, so this is the serial number. So this station, according to the information that has been recorded at on-site observation, okay, so it's base 4. So we need to set the names for the station accordingly to each of the correct receiver. And then serial number 0610, so this one is base number 6. So besides that, we can go to the bottom here, antenna column. The next thing we need to set is the antenna measurement method as well the antenna height. In this case, a slant measurement that we manually measure using measuring tape while doing our site observation. So this information need to be prepared as well. So for example, base 4 is 1.315, so we input the height accordingly. Same goes for the remaining points and their info that we need to input. Next, the method for antenna height measurement method, we can pick slant measurement mark. If let's say you are using other brand of GPS to process inside Survey Office, they normally won't show slant measurement mark for you to choose over here. Instead, you can choose antenna face center if you are processing other brand receiver in Survey Office. But if it's Spectra own receiver, it will have the option for you to use slant measurement mark. But in this case, both meant the same method. So in this case, we can use slant measure mark. Next is receiver. By right, it should automatically detect your GPS receiver. But if it's another brand of GPS that you're trying to process in survey office, you can choose to select and set the manufacturer name and what type the receiver model is using, if it is available inside this list over here. Same goes to column receiver. You need to set the manufacturer name and the model type for the antenna if you are using other brand of GPS besides Spectra own GPS. So once all the relevant information has been already entered, click OK to import all your data inside. And this is how it looks like. It will have a baseline connecting the 2 points. So basically we need to process this baseline in order to get our data for comparison purposes. So next we need to select a reference point for us to set. Basically this reference point is also a control point. So basically you can choose any of this control point to set as your reference or as your control point to process the other point to see the result. So basically here are the info for the 2 stations. So you can set either one of your reference points. So for example, I want to select this as my reference point, so I select to highlight it, right click, then add coordinate. So now over here we need to input manually the coordinate value for our reference point. So we need to have our reference point information ready. So for example, we input the reference coordinate for base 4. We need to make sure that we do not mistakenly key in the wrong coordinate position to avoid miscalculation. Once you already manually key in all your reference point coordinate correctly, double check again. And lastly, over here there will be 2 setting button, question mark. So we need to set both of these to control quality. Finish, then we click OK. Once done, you'll notice your reference point that you want to set as the control point, it will turn into triangle. So this symbol tells you that this is a control point or the reference point. So basically later on when we process the data, this over here will be processed and we can check the result for this station over here. Once finished, we go to survey tab over here. We select process baseline to process our data. So once after the baseline has already been finished process, it will show over here the processing result. So over here you can see that the solution type is fixed. That means the processing is alright. So that means it's already passed the processing. So over here it will show you the horizontal and vertical precision. After that you can click save. Once finished, we want to check our data. Okay, we go to home. Over here at the data section there's a point function. So open up the point spreadsheet. So over here we can compare with the reference result and the process result over here. So for example, this one is base 4 as a reference, so the result that we need to compare is base 6. So all we need to do is get this information. We just need to manually copy it. And we can manually compare the result in Excel. So for example, this is the process result for base 6, the one that we process. And we also need to input our reference. So over here will be the non-point info that we need to input. So we have our process data and our reference point for comparison. And we need to have another column for calculating the difference. So we just need to copy the reference information for us to do comparing. So to get the difference equal, we select the non-reference for x minus the process data for x. Same goes to coordinate y and z. We select the reference minus our own process result to get the difference. So this is how we get our difference by comparing the results to check whether the data is accurate or not, the position is accurate or not. So once we already checked with our data results, if let's say we are not satisfied with the result, we can try to do slight improvement. We can try to do satellite filtering, which basically filters off bad satellite signal. So for example, if we want to do satellite filtering, let's say for example I clear my processing first. So we select the baseline over here. To do satellite filtering, we select the baseline, right click, and then we select session editor. So basically once we open up session editor, it will show us this window. So we try to maximize it. So over here we can see there are various different type of satellite from different country. So the ones that are completely solid without any gaps in between for blue and green, so this is a normal healthy satellite signal. The ones that have gaps or empty spaces in between, so these are basically bad signal that we need to filter off. So let's say we want to disable the whole thing or throw off the whole bad signal, so we can select, right click, and disable satellite. So let's say if we want to filter out the ones that have gaps in between such as this, so we just need to select, left click and drag to highlight it. Once released, it will automatically highlight the section or area in black color, so this means it will filter out the bad satellite signal for us. So you can continue to do filtering for each and every bad signal that you encounter. So once you finish filter out all this bad satellite signal, you can click OK, and then you can proceed to reprocess the baseline again, as it is recommended to reprocess your baseline if you ever do satellite filtering. So lastly, you can also generate a simple summary report of your whole processing job. So at the top here, there's a report button, so click on the drop down button list. There's a baseline processing report. So of course we need to have the baseline process first before we can generate the report, so we just let it process the baseline for a while. Once we already done process it, so let's generate the baseline processing report. So over here, select the report function button, drop down list we select, there's a baseline processing report. There are also other types of report that you can generate, but usually baseline processing report is sufficient. And then we wait for it to generate for the whole summary of the whole processing job. So after the report has been done generated, so it will show some basics information on the report and the whole summary of it. So basically it will show you from which station to which station, and then the solution type, whether it's fixed or not, and some detail of the observation itself, as well as the coordinate results that has been processed over here, standard errors, your station detail, receiver detail, as well as some example of summary of your satellite signal, and the satellite condition. So basically this is the whole summary report for your baseline processing. Depending on how many amount of baseline you have, it will generate a lot of pages depending on the amount of baseline you have in one processing job. So you can choose to export over here to either any document, Excel document, Word document, as well as PDF document to submit for clients.